Right, hello everybody, welcome back to The Golden Sky. Today it is Friday, the 12th of September 2025. I'm Tom, and as always, thank you very much for joining me today. If you're here on YouTube, thank you very much for clicking the video. Please drop a like, comment away on the video, and subscribe to the channel. We are trying to hit 150 subscribers, which is crazy already. And if you're on the podcast, thank you very much for listening on there as well. 5-star ratings and reviews, just like always. Guys, today we are back with the preview for the weekend's game. Finally back with some football, and thank God, honestly. Thank God for that. It's been the longest international break of all time. How have you all spent it? I mean, let me know in the comments how you managed to survive the 84-year-long international break, because that's what it's felt like. For me, I have started a new role in my full-time job, which is not this, and that has been a big distraction. It's got me through, which is good. I've been in lots of calls with people way more important than me, and I've just been sitting there trying not to tell them about Dominic Szoboszlai's free kick all week, because that's all that I've thought about. How many times have we watched that, by the way, people? How many times? I reckon I'm up in about the 16 millions now, somewhere around that mark, for how many times I've watched that free kick. Been in the garden, just pelting the ball in the top corner, shouting Szoboszlai like I'm 5 years old, watching me Gerrard DVD all over again. You know, I've had my life-size cardboard cutout of Endo up in my room, just to remind me that he exists and he's the absolute main fella, whilst I haven't been able to see his little face the last 10 minutes of a Liverpool game for 2 weeks. I've had that up, and I've also ordered my Alexander Isak bikini just to make sure that that's on the way, ready for when he scores, so I can whip that out for when he gets his debut goal against Burnley, which is what we're going to talk about here. The Burnley fixture on Sunday coming up for Liverpool, 2 o'clock on Sunday it will be, and in this video today we're going to go through everything that you need to possibly know before that game starts. So we're going to look at the two teams so far this season. We're going to do a little quick roundup of Liverpool's players over the international break and what they got up to, how many minutes they played, that kind of things. We'll start off with that today, and then later on in the video we will have a little look through some clips of some things I've noticed from Burnley, and basically their danger man, or the player I think could be dangerous anyway. And then very, very, very quickly we'll have a look on the tactics board as well. A little something, and then Super 6 to finish off. So yes, I hope that you all enjoy. Let's get right into it with the predicted 11 for Liverpool. So okay, I think in this game, we will start with Alisson in the goal, of course, and then this is where I'm putting it out there a little bit. I think Conor Bradley will start at right back, and you'll hear why in a second. I think Bradley will start at right back with Konate and Van Dijk at centre backs. I think that's pretty straightforward. Kirkers will play left back with Gravenberch, and I think Szoboszlai in the middle with Florian Wirtz, Mo Salah, Hugo Ekitike, and Cody Gakpo up front. So I think when you hear that, your first thoughts are, first of all, no Isak. I think that would be what everyone is talking about. And yeah, if anyone doesn't already know this, Alexander Isak will not start for Liverpool this weekend. I will bet everything I own on it. I'll bet this channel. I'll bet my house that I don't own. I'll bet everything on it that I have. He will not start this weekend. It doesn't matter if Ekitike, if he woke up on Sunday and both his legs had fallen off, he won't be starting on Sunday. Even Slot said in his press conference, which I've just watched, that he was really grateful to Thomasson, the Swedish manager, the manager of Sweden, sorry, who didn't play Isak 90 minutes in both the games of Sweden's in the international break, because he needs to build up his fitness. So clearly he's not going to start. I think the max he plays in this game is probably 15 minutes. So if we're losing, right, let's say we're losing 1-0 or it's 1-1, half an hour to go, don't let your heads fall off if Slot doesn't bring Isak on, all right? Because he can't bring him on too early, or he'll get injured, and then we'll miss him for much longer than one game against Burnley. So remember that when you're watching the game. Got more than enough quality to beat Burnley on the pitch without Isak. But yes, we will see him, I believe, for at least about 10 minutes. So that'll be fun. And then the other talking point, I think, in my predicted team is that I think Conor Bradley will start at right back. And Szoboszlai will start in the middle. So Szoboszlai is definitely going to start. He's been our best player this season so far, him and Van Dijk, I would say. So he's going to start the game. Whether it be at right back or centre midfield is the question. And I think he'll play centre mid. Plainly because McAllister played 90 minutes on, I think it was Wednesday night, in South America. Now, I just think because of that, we've seen from international breaks in the past, McAllister's come back. He's not quite looked sharp because he has to travel all that distance. I think we'll leave him on the bench, put Szoboszlai in the middle. This is his best position, let's not forget, even though he's been amazing at right back. And play Bradley at right back for this game. So that's what I think will happen. It wouldn't surprise me if Szoboszlai does play right back and McAllister plays in the middle, but I think leaving him on the bench is what we'll do. So just talking about the international minutes, I did make a little graphic of the international minutes, so I'll put that on the screen right now and we'll just have a quick talk through it. Right, so you guys seem to really enjoy the visual representation in the Isak video that I made earlier this week, and again, thank you so much for the support on that and the videos in the past few weeks on the channel. It's been amazing. Let's keep it going. But yes, here is a graph I made showing all the players, the first team players. I didn't include Rio on here. He played a few games for the youth team, the England under-19 team. I didn't put him on, but the rest of the team is on here, and whether they played how many minutes in the first game of the international break and how many in the second game, and then obviously the total on the right. So you can see for certain players they've played 90 minutes in both games. Alisson, Mamardashvili, Van Dijk, Kanate, Kirkez basically played full games. Robbo, Szoboszlai, Wirtz, Salah and Cody Gakpo. And I put those in red just to show, obviously they didn't get a rest really. They played heavy minutes. So keep that in mind. We might see some of these players getting subbed on the weekend after an hour. Maybe Wirtz might get subbed again. Salah might get, well, Salah probably won't get subbed. Gakpo probably will get subbed. We might see a little bit of rotation here at left back in the game, depending how that goes. Maybe Joe Gomez will come on. That's just something to keep note of. And we've also got a few players who didn't get called up at all. So that's Frimpong, Gomez, Curtis Jones and Chiesa, who didn't get called up and played no minutes, which is great. I mean, Frimpong was injured, of course, but he looks like he's fully back in training now to me. I think that we were told after the international break he'll be back, so he looks like he's back, so probably on the bench, which is good. Leone was called up but didn't make any appearances, so no minutes for him. Ekitike and Isak both called up, both played less than 20 minutes each off the bench, once for Isak and twice for Ekitike, but only for 1 minute and 9 minutes. So basically a full rest for them, which is great news for us. And then couple yellow ones here that I put on as well. So Gravenberch played one game, got a rest in the other. So did McAllister and so did Endo, which is good, especially Gravenberch. I think getting that rest in the second game, he's had basically a full week off again, which is awesome. McAllister didn't play the first game but plays the second, hence why I think he gets the rest. But yeah, hopefully this makes it easy to see kind of the minutes in our players' legs and where they might be on the weekend, fitness-wise. So yeah, let's head back to the big screen after you've seen this, and we'll talk a little bit more about Liverpool throughout the season so far, and Burnley as well. So we'll put the international break behind us, but we will talk about some Premier League games that are behind us. Liverpool's first 3 games this season, obviously all wins: Bournemouth, Newcastle and Arsenal. People have given us criticism for how we've won the games. I don't really care. We've got 9 points on the board and no other team does, so happy days if you ask me. Interesting thing I found, Bournemouth, Newcastle and Arsenal have only conceded goals in 1 game this season each. All 3 of them to us. All 3 games they've obviously lost, but Bournemouth lose to us and then keep 2 clean sheets. Newcastle have had 2 0-0s either side of the loss to us. and then Arsenal obviously with 2 wins and then losing 1-0 away to us. So I think that's interesting. It basically just shows that our attack is boss. It's really, really strong. Yeah, we got bailed out with the amazing free kick by Szoboszlai. You could say we got bailed out from Rio Ngamoa's 100th minute winner. You can say we got bailed out from Chiesa's last minute winner. But the point is, we're scoring loads of goals. We're winning football matches. And that is what it's all about at the end of the day. So I think that's interesting. It shows our attack's good. We've obviously added Isak to that as well. We're going to score a lot of goals this season. Let's continue that here against Burnley, hopefully. But this is when rotation is going to kind of start to come into the mind of Slot, and we're going to see a lot more of it. So I think early in the season, the first 3 games, obviously a week in between them all, we've had full pre-seasons for most of our players. We've basically been able to play our full strength team minus a couple injuries at right back already this season. So that's been really, really good. But now we might start to see some subs at 60 minutes, 70 minutes that we might not see if we had a full week's rest. We have a load of games coming up before the next international break in about 3-4 weeks' time. So there's going to be loads of videos as well. So if you're ready for that, then yeah, it's going to be a right treat for you. There's going to be loads of videos coming up from me. But I'm just warning you all, really, that this is when we're going to see, maybe we'll see starting 11s where we kind of have a little bit of rotation built in. Maybe Chiesa starts a game, maybe Curtis Jones starts a game, maybe Robbo starts a game, you know, and we're kind of chopping and changing players here and there. We'll especially see that in the Carabao Cup and the Champions League, but just wanted to kind of point that out. And this game specifically, the Burnley one, this sort of reminds me, when I think of it in my mind, a little bit of the Southampton game last year. I don't know if anyone remembers. We played away at Southampton quite early on in the season, and they were awful last year, like really, really, really bad. But we hadn't quite seen just how bad that they were going to be. And when we played them at Southampton, and we actually only just beat them. We beat them 3-2, and we were losing in that game as well. Mo Salah saved the day, of course, but I just think this game reminds me a little bit of that. I'm not saying that Burnley are going to be as bad as Southampton. I don't think they will be, because Southampton were awful. But I think people might be overlooking this fixture ever so slightly. Obviously, we've had the really tough start. Burnley on paper, much easier opponent, promoted side. But I just think away from home, Burnley extremely strong at home. We'll get to that in a little bit. It's important not to overlook this one, to be thinking already about the Champions League, to be thinking about games coming up past this. And I don't think Liverpool will do that. We're not the type of team to really do that, especially under Slot. But Southampton was a prime example of it being a tough game, even though they were awful. So maybe Burnley will be a bit like that. Maybe they'll frustrate us. But should we talk about Burnley a little bit? Now, what I will say is, with Burnley, I have watched as much football as I possibly can in the Premier League since it started again this season. And Burnley, I think, are the only team that I haven't watched. I haven't like sat and watched a game of, whether they've been playing at a time of everyone else, and I've chose not to watch their game. I have watched every other team in the league, I think, except for Burnley. I'm trying to think now if there's anyone I haven't watched, and I don't think there is. I think I've watched every single team play a full game except for Burnley. So that's to say that I don't, know them inside out. Obviously, they were in the Championship last year. I was not watching Burnley Championship games last year unless they were playing Leeds. But nonetheless, I do know a bit about them because I do my homework. So, predicted 11 for Burnley. I think they'll play Dubravka in the net. They'll play Kyle Walker at right back. They'll play Ekdal and Estev as centre-backs. Ekdal did go off injured for Sweden against Kosovo. I did watch that game in midweek. Didn't seem like a bad injury, and he started well for Burnley, so I think he'll play if the injury's not too bad. I haven't seen anything about it being bad enough to keep him out of the game, but I think he will play. They'll play Hartman, I think, at left back with Ugashukwu and Cullen, who's the captain, in the middle. I think Jacob Brun-Larsen will start on the right with Hannibal Mejbri in the middle, number 10, and then Jaden Anthony on the left with Lyle Foster up front. I think that's what they'll go with. That's kind of what they've been playing to start this season. Sort of a 4-2-3-1 formation. which is a little different from what they played last year in the Championship, and we'll touch on that in the tactics board later on in the video. But yeah, you might hear that team, you might think I don't really know a lot about a lot of their players, so I'll try and tell you what I know. We know about Dubravka, he's a pretty solid enough Premier League goalkeeper, he's kind of a bit of a journeyman these days. Walker is a big name, the biggest name in the Burnley team, but definitely a little past his sell-by date now. Obviously, City let him go, he has the loan spell at Milan, now he's at Burnley. Like, still pacey, but I don't know, he's not the same player that he once was, obviously. Ugo in the middle, signed from Chelsea this summer, record signing, I believe, for Burnley. Like, he's a young player, you know. He's a bit of an unknown quantity, really. Not had that many minutes in the Premier League, even for Chelsea. And then the attack, that's where I think Burnley struggle, and will struggle in the Prem, is with the goals. Where will they come from? Well, so far this season, they've come from Jadon Anthony, who has 2 goals and an assist to start the season. He was at Bournemouth, Jadon Anthony, and then last season he was on loan at Burnley, and he signed for them on a permanent deal this year. And he started the Premier League season really well. He scored against Sunderland, a really nice, well-taken goal, and also scored against United, which was not so well, wasn't such a nice goal, but it was a scrappy goal that he finished off. So all credit to him. Yeah, I think he's shown some quality. He's a pacey winger. He'll be on the left-hand side for Burnley. So, yeah, I certainly think he has the capability to damage us. But look, let's be real. I'm not going to try and talk up Burnley like they're, you know, a match like for like with Liverpool. They're not. Let's put it that way. Their squad is just not worth the same as us. We should be beating Burnley. We should be dominating the game. I'm not one to like build up this false narrative that Burnley are like really, really good and Liverpool are going to really struggle in the premise, in the you know, to kind of protect us if we lose. That's not the case. If we lose this game, it is unacceptable, and that's simply how it goes if we want to win the league. Looking at Burnley's fixtures so far this season, they were outclassed on the opening day 3-0 against Spurs. I mean, Spurs just had too much quality for them, and they, away from home especially, they were just kind of brushed aside. But then they bounced back really well with a good 2-0 win against Sunderland, which I think kind of shows Burnley's floor. I want to talk about, like, in terms of the floor and ceiling of Burnley. So I think the floor of Burnley is quite high. They're never going to be awful. I don't think they're going to lose many games like 6-0, 5-0, kind of like what we saw of Southampton, where if they were bad, the floor of that team was down here. You can't even see my hand right now, but it was down there. Their ceiling, however, though, I don't think is very high. I don't think if they play really well, they're going to be winning games against big teams. I just can't see them doing that. I think if they stay up, it's going to be because they are getting draws. They are beating up on teams that are maybe at the lower end of the table as well, and their home form is good, which they showed against Sunderland, beating them 2-0, kind of a scoreline you might expect to see if they was in the Championship last year. And to be honest, they were unlucky not to get a draw at Old Trafford. They lose that game 3-2. It was a last-minute penalty. It was an absolute dive by Ahmad. I mean, it just was a dive. So they were unlucky not to get a draw there. And at home, they've actually won 9 of their last 10 games with a draw in the middle there. The 10th game that they didn't win. They've got a little unbeaten run going at home, obviously stretching back to last season when they were in the Championship, but point is they are pretty good at home. And last season, which again we've got to look at when you factor in Burnley's team, despite the fact they've made lots of signings, is their defensive record last year was genuinely amazing, genuinely really top quality. They smashed the Championship record for goals conceded in a season. And they conceded 16 goals in 46 Championship games. I think the record was 30 before that. So an amazing defensive performance. But that said, so far in the Premier League, they have actually given up the most expected goals total of any teams in the league this year. 6.7 expected goals against Burnley so far this season. Now, they have given up a penalty, so that is a high chunk of their XG there. I think penalties are about 0.75 or something along those lines. So basically they've given up 6 expected goals, non-penalties. The defence maybe not being as solid, which you would expect in the Premier League. We will touch about this a little bit later, like I said in the tactics board, about their setup. They've surprised me a little bit this season after kind of researching them when they were coming into the Premier League a little in the summer and how they've set up, and we'll talk about that later. They have had the second lowest average possession this season with only 38% of the ball. Even at home to Sunderland in the win, they had the minority of possession in that game. Sunderland had most of the ball. So they are very content to not have it and to defend. Obviously, Liverpool like to be on the ball, so this suits us. We just need to be careful about counter-attacks. Obviously, that's always the case, but I think Burnley will need to be careful that they don't let Liverpool just have 80% of the ball. It needs to stay lower than that, and they need to have some sort of attack. Obviously, from our point of view, we want to completely suffocate them. Don't let them get out. Sustain attacks until we eventually score a goal, and we have enough firepower on the pitch now to be able to do that in every game we play. They've also made the second lowest passes just generally in the Premier League so far this season. We might be thinking like that's really bad and you want to know who's below them. Well, in terms of possession, the worst team of possession this season so far is Crystal Palace, who are a pretty damn good side. I think we can all agree. So maybe possession isn't everything in football, we know that, but I'm just giving you the stats here. You can do with them whatever you'd like. So some key battles then in this game. Well, I think looking at those possession stats and Burnley's defensive record and our attacking talent, the key battle for me is simply a game of attack versus defence. I think that's the biggest talking point in this game. Can Burnley's strong defensive numbers from last season keep up with Liverpool's attacking talent and attacking prowess that's going to be on the pitch for 90 full minutes? Because when we take Ekitike off in this game, when we bring an Isak on, it's not like what we've done earlier in the season when we've taken Ekitike off and we've got a little bit worse from an attacking point of view. We're bringing on Alexander Isak. So can they cope with that? Can they keep us out? Can Liverpool break Burnley down, who I imagine will sit really deep and frustrate Liverpool? Can we get an early goal to bring them out and maybe capitalise on that? That's the hope from our point of view. I think individually, you've got to look at Jadon Anthony against what I think will be Connor Bradley. It'll be his first start of the season, and like I said, looking at Jadon Anthony, he's had an impressive start to the season. He'll be really high on confidence. Can he maybe get at Connor Bradley, and will Bradley be able to sort of shut him down? Bradley's got the pace to deal with him. That's something to look at. And then just also, can Mo Salah find his form in the Prem? I mean, look, he's got a goal and assist, so it's not been disastrous at all. But I think we can all agree that Salah, what we've seen so far this season, is not of a level that he was at the start of last season so far, when he was getting a goal and an assist every game in the same game together. So can he find his form? He scored a goal for Egypt in the international break, and it was a penalty, and he did put it in the bottom corner. He didn't sky it, so that's always good. Thank you, Mo Salah. Can he continue that sort of form from last year? Can he score some goals in this one? I sure bloody hope so. But that's kind of everything that you need to know from me just talking at you, I think, for this game. Let's have a little look at some clips, just a few clips of some things I've noticed about Burnley so far this season. And we'll just talk through them so far. All right, so first thing I wanted to do before I get into something I've noticed when I'm watching Burnley's highlights today and throughout this week, in the lead up to this game, just wanted to do a little tiny bit on Jadon Anthony, because I do think he's actually impressed me so far to start the season. So this is against Sunderland, Burnley's best game of the season. Here he is, Jadon Anthony, and he's about to receive the ball from a pass from Hartman coming into him. And I just think I wanted to highlight his link-up play. Gets the ball, you can see really confident, little flick. He's going to lay it off right here. We've got we've got Josh Cullen running in to take this shot, which he does. He's going to hit this ball into this corner here, and it's going to be the goal for Burnley to put them 1-0 up. Nice little flick from him, that's his assist, and then he's not finished there in this game. You can see here also Burnley looking to play direct, the transition here, looking to get the ball as soon as possible up and over the defence. Good ball from Cullen again. Anthony on his bike, you can see making that transition. They want to be direct. He gets away from the defence. Then it's all about, can you finish? Well, out comes the goalie and confidence high in Jaden Anthony right now, able to just take this ball past the keeper and slot it into the empty net. As easy as that. Nothing crazy there. Just wanted to point out he is probably the danger for Burnley. And now that I've said this, he'll probably like not play or something weird like that. But no, I'm joking. I think he is the danger man. I think this shows it. He's had a really confident start to the season. I've been impressed. But something that has not impressed me with Burnley, I'll pick this out. Okay, this is a little bit of Tommy Forsh. I don't know, analysis here, right? Burnley so far this season have really struggled with crosses into the box. And it's surprising because when you think of Burnley, you think of those Sean Dyche teams being big and imposing and strong and hard to play against and tall, and they've got ogres at the back post, like ready to head the ball away. Well, they've really struggled on crosses this season, and I'm going to give you some examples. As the first game of the season, early on, here's Kudus with the ball. He's going to cross this ball in, and it's going to find Bergvall, who's going to be able to take a touch and shoot with the ball. You see the space he's in. I mean, you've got these 4 Burnley players around him, but no one really close to him. The ball is able to come into the box. He takes the touch, is able to get the shot in. They don't score, but he could have scored on another day. Kudus, again, who was great in this game, beating the fullback over on the right wing, crosses the ball into the box. What happens? Well, there's Richarlison to hit it. Look at the space again that he's in. He's peeled off the defenders. This fella doesn't know what's happened. He's got his arms out. The centre-backs are here. Here's Ekdal and here's Estev. You know, they're so far apart. Richarlison has lots of time, pops the ball in the net, and off he goes doing the pigeon. Second half, again, similar situation now from the other side. Cross comes in, goes through Walker's legs. Richarlison, again, look at the space he's in here. No Burnley player anywhere near him. He's able to just hang back off these 2 centre-backs here. Receives the ball to his feet. He should score. He should do better. They make a good block. I think it actually hits Estev. This one, it might hit Ekdal. But if he can, get this ball into this corner here, maybe he can score a goal. Again, another example of them struggling. Same game. This time it's Kudus again, beating his fullback. Hartman struggled quite a lot in this game. Wonder how he'll fare against Salah and Bradley, especially coming on the overlap. Kudus whips the ball in. Again, you can see Richarlison pretty much unmarked at this back post. Now, let's take nothing away. He does an overhead kick and belts the ball into the back of the net. You're not conceding overhead kicks every game, so I cut Burnley some slack for that. But point is, he takes it really, really well, scores the goal, another cross Burnley concede. There's the ball in the net. United, okay, most recent game, free kick situation. Bruno Fernandes is going to cross the ball in, and if I tell you that Casemiro is going to head this ball and basically be as unmarked as he is now when he heads it, would you believe me? Well, yes, you should, because here he is, heading the ball, basically unchallenged. They score from this again. Now, they get lucky. Dubravka almost keeps it out, but it hits Josh Cullen on the back and goes in the net. I think it hits the bar first and then hits Cullen and then goes in. So it's a little unlucky, but the point is, again, it's not a cross Burnley concede from. Now, again, they concede. Different type of cross this time. Dallow's managed to get to the byline, which is a place where Liverpool like to get. A lot of the time we see Gakpo do this. After he's finished doing his cut-ins all the time like this, occasionally he'll take his fullback down the line. And Dallow does exactly that here. Squares the ball back for Mbeumo, who basically just taps the ball in the net. Again, we'll see. He peeled off the centre-backs. Now, admittedly, there's not much the centre-backs can do here. Mbeumo is on the 6-yard box. But he scores an easy chance. They don't stop the cross. They don't mark the man. Now, Sunderland, another different situation. A long ball from a set piece. This is usually Burnley's meat and drink. Traditionally in the Premier League, we've seen them. Set piece situations, it's all in Burnley's favour. Xhaka is going to pump this ball into the box. And this fella here at the back post is going to be able to get up and win the header. Again, you can see basically unchallenged. No one really near him. No one's going to get anywhere near this header except for him. He nods it across, and Sunderland should score. I mean, this should have been a goal. He hits it straight at Dubravka. He should score, and that should have been a goal. You can see there countless examples already in the first 3 games of Burnley really struggling on crosses. So I wonder, and I'll show you in the tactics board now, how Liverpool can take advantage of it with some of our players. So let's go have a little look at that. Right, so this is how I have Liverpool set up to play against Burnley. And Burnley from kickoff will probably line up in this 4-2-3-1. Now, I'm going to assume that Liverpool have the ball. And like I was just saying with the crosses, something that we might see a lot of. Let's say Salah has the ball down here. You know, he's trying to run at his fullback. If Bradley plays, I think obviously he wants to get down here or in here like this, and it's going to basically bring this winger back. He's going to have to track this run of Bradley. Let's say he makes an underlapping run. He's going to go in here, and it's basically going to allow Salah to sort of square up Hartman, who have seen our trouble against Kudus, maybe cut inside, and then look for this sort of pass. So let's move Burnley back into the sort of position that they might be in. You know, if they were defending deep against us, it would look something like this, I imagine. And then obviously we'd have Ekatike, we'd have Wirtz somewhere around here, and then we'd obviously be pushed up the pitch in something resembling sort of this formation. Can Salah cut in? Maybe look to fire these crosses that we like to hit towards the back post where Gakpo comes in. The defence pushes out and Gakpo times his run where he pushes in and, you know, we head the ball in. And Gakpo can do the exact same thing from this side with Kirkez coming over the overlap. Maybe it takes the defender away. Gakpo comes running along, cuts inside. Maybe Bradley's there, maybe Ekatike's there. Maybe Mo Salah's coming in. We've seen the troubles Burnley have had from crosses. Maybe that could be a way to goal for us. But something else that I've noticed, if we just put the ball back on the centre circle, like I've shown you there, is Burnley have been playing a 4 at the back formation to start this season, which has surprised me a little bit. Because last season in the Championship, they played a lot of 5 at the back. So it does, well, it makes me, what's the word I'm looking for here? Curious if they will play 5 at the back against us. So let's assume that they do. Let's assume they drop centre-back back into this defensive line. Maybe even they might do this at certain points in the game, you know, if they're winning. They will go to something that looks like this. It'll be a 5-4-1. They'll probably take Hannibal Mejbri off. They'll bring Ugochukwu and Cullen as 2 centre mids. Then they'll have the wingers, and they'll have the striker, and then they'll probably have the 5 at the back like this. This might be Walker, or this might be Walker. You know, this is what they might do. Now, can Liverpool break this down? Is going to be the question. We haven't actually played against the 5 at the back so far yet this season. But it's then important for players like Gravenberch, for players like Soboslai, and for players like Wirtz to get on the ball before we reach this defensive line and find little 1-2s like this, maybe little pockets of space, then can Wirtz cut in and have a shot at the goal. That's going to be interesting how Burnley will set up. It surprised me how they haven't set up with a 5 back yet, but playing against us, even though they're at home, will they do something like this? Certainly could happen. That's just a few little bits and bats about tactics for the game. I don't really want to talk about tactics all that much. It's Liverpool v Burnley. Liverpool should just be winning. They obviously have tactics, but I don't want to overload you all with stuff like that. We'll look at tactics later in the week after the game. For now, let's finish off with Super 6. Okay, so Super 6. Now, still not a millionaire, so unfortunate, but also nobody else is a millionaire. No one has won Super 6 yet, so let's give this a whirl. All right, Newcastle against Wolves. What are people saying? Let's have a little look at this. Wow, 2% of people think Wolves will win. Cara reckons 3-0. Newcastle been struggling to score goals, but that probably means they're bound to score. Valtamardez is going to play. Visser is not playing. I'm going to go 3-1 to Newcastle. I'm going to go with that. Bournemouth and Brighton. This is a really tricky one. Both good sides. I think that's probably why draw will be a high, likely a highly picked scoreline here, which it is. I just like Bournemouth. I just do like them. I think they're really good. Their defence has been really, really good. I'm going to go 2-1 to Bournemouth. I think Bournemouth will have enough there to beat Brighton. Okay, West Ham Spurs. West Ham got a great win last week against Forest. Really good win. 2-1 says Cara. And you know what? I'm actually going to agree with him. I think 2-1. I think people have gone to 180 on West Ham after they got a win. 2 weeks ago before they beat Forest, these lot were relegated in everyone's minds. And now suddenly people reckon they can draw to Spurs. I think Spurs will have enough to beat them 2-1. Brentford and Chelsea, 3-1 to Chelsea, says the admin. 2-0 says Cara. Do you know what? I'm going to go for a shock here. Why not? Why not? Brentford win or draw? Draw. 1-1. 1-1. Right, Burnley v Liverpool. I don't like when they put Liverpool on here because I don't like predicting Liverpool's games. Let's have a little look. 1% of people think Burnley will win. Wow. And most people saying 2-0. Well, I think Liverpool will score a lot of goals in this game. So I'm going to go 3. And I'll give Burnley a goal. Yeah, and I'm actually going to put that to 4. Because there's always a crazy scoreline, guys. That's why no one ever wins Super 6. There's always a crazy one. City v United. City 3-1, says Cara. Lots of people saying City. I think I agree. I'm going to go 2-0 to Man City. I'm going to go 2-0. I just think they'll have too much for United. Even though they haven't looked great themselves, they'll probably bounce back here with a win against United. We always go 5th minute. It's pretty much always an early goal. Let's submit those predictions and let's see how likely we are. Oops, I've clicked the advert. Right, so my bet this week, if I was to put it on, is actually lower than it has been for the first couple of weeks. So maybe this week my scores are less out there. I think the Brentford one probably the most unlikely to happen. So, will I be a millionaire by this time next week? Who knows? Right then, everybody, that is going to be it for today's video. I really do hope that you did enjoy the preview for Burnley v Liverpool, Sunday, 2 o'clock. Let's see how Liverpool get on. Let's see if they can get the 4th victory of the season. And if you did enjoy today's video, please do leave a like on the video. Thank you very much for watching all the way to the end. Comment away if you did enjoy and anything that you maybe would like to see in these previews that I don't already cover. Subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't already. It is much appreciated and I'm loving seeing all the support on the channel. It means the world to me, to be honest. Yes, thank you very much for watching, listening, all that good stuff. Enjoy the football over the weekend and I will see you all on Sunday with the match ratings for Liverpool against Burnley. But until then, have a good one, guys. I'll see you all very soon. Goodbye.